welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt. When I first started this channel, like 8 or 9 months ago, one of the first videos that I did was 5 ways to improve your D&D or Pathfinder game. This remains one of my favorite videos that I've ever done, and it was also the video that caught the attention of people like Andrew over at Dawnforge Cast, who then shared that video and helped spur my channel and integrate me into the Brigade community and the greater YouTube community at large. I've always wanted to do a follow-up to that video, which is 5 ways to be a better player. And I'm making this video now because someone on the Facebook, on the Brigade Facebook, said that, you know, we really are a GM or DM or, you know, just referee, whatever. We are a GM-centric group. And I tend to agree with that. I think a lot of the advice that we give, a lot of the videos that we make, are about running games, creating worlds, being the GM. And there are videos for players. There's plenty of videos for players. But I do think that for the most part we tend to focus on GM stuff. So this video is going to be all about players, because there are plenty of people in our community that don't DM, that have never run a game before and have no interest in it, and who enjoy being a player. I come from a unique position where I'm about 50-50. I GM and I play. I love both of them, and like when I'm GMing, I can't wait to play again, and when I'm playing, I can't wait to GM again. So it's, you know, 2 different sort of roles, but they're more linked than you think. And I think players get caught up in this thing that the GM is in charge of everything and they can't really contribute to the creative process, but that is simply not true. So this video is going to be 5 ways that you, as a player, can become a better player and create a more cohesive, more fun experience for everyone at the table, GM included. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you take my tips to heart. This first tip is work as a team. Collaborate. And this goes for in-character and out-of-character. So let's talk about in-character first. So many players, especially new players, get caught up in the trap of thinking that their character can do everything. Thinking that they need to volunteer to do everything. Let's take an example. You have a fighter, a ranger, a rogue, and a wizard. The party needs someone to scout ahead, and the fighter volunteers. Now, maybe you have a fighter build that is super sneaky. Maybe he's a dexterous fighter. Maybe it makes sense. However, for the most part, look at the party composition. You have a rogue and a ranger with you as well. Chances are that ranger is going to have some scouting abilities. By volunteering yourself, by doing something that another character in the party could do way better, you're sort of denying that character a chance to shine. This is one of my biggest pet peeves at the table, is characters who think that they need to do everything. Let me say this right now. Just because you have the skill doesn't mean you need to use that skill every time. So, an example I use with my players as working as a team is the movie The Avengers. That sequence where oh man, what are they? They're the Skrull, but they're called something different in the Chitauri or whatever. But they're the Skrull. Let's be honest. Anyway, they're coming out of the portal, and Captain America starts giving orders to everyone. And what he's doing is he recognizes the strengths of everyone on the team. You know, he's like, you know, Iron Man, Thor, you guys can fly. You guys are, you know, going to be patrolling around. Thor, you can do lightning. So, you know, try and stop some of them that are coming out of the portal. Hawkeye, you've got the best eyes, and you know, you can just see so far. So you get up there and you tell us what to do. Me and Black Widow, we're not as awesome. We're going to stay down here and fight on the ground and try to rescue these people. And Hulk, smash. You know, like, everybody has something to do, and everyone is playing to their strengths, including Captain America, who is the leader of the group. So, part of being in a party is recognizing the strengths and the skills of the rest of the party. I will guarantee you that even though it's really fun to be, you know, Mr. I can do everything, I'm good at everything, I'm spotting everything, I'm disabling walks, I'm killing everything, I'm just the most badass in the land, it is infinitely more fun to be part of a team, to be a cog in a machine, to realize that I'm good at something, This character's good at something, this character's good at something, and we're all being good at something together. Like, variety is the spice of life. You don't need to be good at everything, and you need to recognize that everyone at the table is wanting to play their character and wanting to use their skills. So don't feel like you need to do everything. You know, if there's a point where, you know, there needs to be some sneakiness happening, even if you have some points in sneak, don't feel obligated to do that just because you have points in sneak. Maybe there's another character who has points in sneak in the group. You can say, you know, why don't you take this one? Or, you know, you're better at hiding than I am. Why don't you take this one? And this sense of collaboration, it's great. It takes away sort of the competitive nature. I feel like some players sort of come into D&D with sort of like a competitive mindset, like, my character's the coolest, way cooler than everybody else's. Recognize that everyone thinks their character is cool. Everyone loves their character, and it's way more fun to work as a team. Now let's talk about out of character working as a team. A lot of people say, you know, it's the GM's job to tell the story and it's the player's job to act it out. It's not that hard of a line. For me, D&D and tabletop gaming in general is a collaborative storytelling effort. Yes, the GM is dictating the direction. Yes, the GM is handling all of the NPCs and the plot hooks. But it is just as important to have players who are invested and contributing to the story, taking it in cool directions, thinking of different things to do, really contributing creatively. I, as a GM, when I'm a player, I do a lot of thinking about the plot, about the direction that we're taking, and I will attempt to not take it in a completely different direction, but think of interesting ways to take the plot. And I know GMs appreciate that. I, as a GM, really appreciate it when the players like to contribute and take the plot in interesting directions, or do things that I wouldn't necessarily think of. And I would just realize that everyone at the table wants to have fun, including the GM. Everyone at the table is there to have fun. And yes, it's the GM's job to make sure that everyone at the table is having fun, but it's your job too. As a player, take some of that responsibility. Realize that I'm part of this group, we're a group together, and I have maybe not as much responsibility, but I have some portion of responsibility to make sure that everyone at this table is having fun. Maybe there's someone that is clearly not having fun that the GM isn't really noticing. You know, GMs do tend to miss things. Maybe someone's being quiet and the GM is simply overlooking that person. Not that, you know, not the GM's fault. It happens, but maybe you can bring it to the GM's attention, or maybe you can talk to that player. Don't feel like it's the GM's job to handle everything, because it's not. And I guarantee you the GM is not going to be able to handle every single situation that arises, because they've got a lot to deal with. So offer to help the GM out with things. Offer to, you know, cook food. Offer to handle immersion stuff. Offer to draw maps. Offer to, you know, move things around on the board. Whatever you want to do to contribute, do it. Offer to help. And maybe you have a GM that wants to do everything on their own, and that's fine too, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you as a player can contribute more than you think at the table, creatively and, you know, to help the group dynamic. So, yeah, that's the first tip. D&D, work as a team, in and out of game. It is a team game. You are working together. And I don't care if you've got a lawful good character and a chaotic evil character. They're in the same party. They can have different motivations, they can have different, they can want different outcomes, but they still need to collaborate. They need to work together. So that's my first tip. The second tip is know your character, mechanically and in character. There's nothing worse than a player who comes to the table with a new rolled up character, and every time it's their turn, they have no idea what their character can do. They have no idea what their spells can do. They have no idea what they're rolling. And yeah, this happens. Every time you roll up a new character, there's a little bit of a learning curve, especially if you're a new player. But there comes a certain point where it is totally your fault if you don't know what your character is capable of. Research your feats. Know what they do. Pick your spells well in advance of the game and know what those spells do. Don't just pick your spells for that day. Have a list of spells that you might take, you know, whenever, and know what they do. Don't be looking up stuff at the table during your turn. If it's not your turn, that's fine. But know your character. Come prepared. If your GM has asked you to level up, come leveled up. If your GM has asked you to, you know, come with the backstory prepared, come with the backstory prepared. Saying that, let's talk about in character, knowing your character in character. You don't need to have your entire character's backstory mapped out from the day that they were birthed to the day of today, but know what their motivations are, know where they're coming from. I guarantee you it's going to be a lot more fun to play a character if you know what is motivating them. Nothing is worse than a character that's just da, 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 da. And of course you can have a character that's like, you know, a halfling with wanderlust who's just off adventuring, but why is he like that? Why does he want to adventure? Was his dad a farmer who never got out and, you know, wished for a life that he could never have, and his son is trying to do right by his dad? You know, stuff like that. Just very simple motivations, things that make sense, logical things for your character. Your character is going to be much more endearing to you and much more fun to play if they're realistic. Not realistic in the sense of in the real world. I mean, their motivations come from someplace real, someplace personal. A lot of people create gimmicky characters. Like, they think about build first. Like, I want to create a cleric who is a dwarf and a half-construct, and that's a little poke at me because I play that character. But don't think of it as a gimmick. Try to think of the motivations behind that character. The fact that he's a half-construct is interesting, but why is he a half-construct? You know, what happened to him? How does being a half-construct affect his character, affect his motivation? Gotta think about this kind of stuff. I come from a place of fiction writing. I am a creative writer first and foremost, and I have to think about this every time I do writing. If I don't, the characters come out flat and uninteresting, and I guarantee you they're going to come out flat and uninteresting at the table if you don't think about this kind of stuff. So, know your character. Know your character better than anybody else. The third tip I have is roll with it. And this is very important. Don't get upset about stuff at the table. If something happens in the game that you don't like, just go with it. Nothing bad is going to happen to your character that's going to affect you in real life. If your character dies, roll with it. If your character loses a limb, roll with it. If your character is bitten by a vampire and turned into an undead fiend and turns into the villain of the campaign, just roll with it. You can be upset about stuff, but don't make a big deal about it at the table. Part of D&D is surprises, twists, things happening to your character that you cannot foresee, and you just have to roll with it. It's much more fun to take things as they come and react to things as your character would react than it is to sit there and bitch about it as a player. You know, there's nothing worse than a player who's sitting there all pissed off because, you know, you're like, why are you mad? Because I fell down a hole, I'm out of the combat. It's like, okay, well, why don't you think of an interesting way to get out of the hole? Or find a way to contribute to the combat even though you're 40 feet down? Forces you to think creatively, forces you to react. So just roll with situations. Yes, there are situations where you can be kind of upset, like, well, that's kind of lame. If your GM says you fall down a hole and you didn't get to make any rolls to try to, stop it from happening or something like that, yeah, there's times to be upset, but take care of it out of the table. Don't bitch about stuff at the table. Wait for a break. Ask for a sidebar with the GM. Just roll with it. I guarantee you it's going to be a lot more fun if you have more of an easygoing, sort of laid-back approach to D&D and your character and how the plot is going and all of that. My fourth tip is shut up and listen. Your character does not have to talk constantly, even if that's part of their character. This goes back to the whole D&D is a team effort, is a collaborative effort. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just shut up and listen. If you suddenly realize, my character's been talking a lot lately, I haven't really noticed that her character's been talking very much, and, well, he hasn't really been doing anything either. I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let them speak up first. There's nothing wrong with that. This is self-awareness. This is part of growing up and being an adult, is being aware of yourself and your actions, and this helps at the game table. You can realize, I've been kind of dominating the game tonight. I'm just gonna sit back and kind of, let other people sort of do stuff. And again, it all comes back to the working as a group and working as a team. There are times when you should just shut up and listen. Another good example is, if the DM is talking, don't talk. Do not interrupt the DM. That is the rudest thing you can do. And not just the DM, but if another player is talking, do not interrupt them. It's the worst. I've had times at the table where like some really intense RP's been going on, and some other player at the table goes, hey, question about the Great Cleave feat, and it's like, are you kidding me right now? Really? First of all, Great Cleave's not that hard to understand. Second of all, you just interrupt a very intense, very awesome RP interaction between these two characters. Congratulations, bucko. You know, just... You as a player, unless you're a completely socially unaware, inept person, you're gonna know when is a good time to talk and when is a good time to just shut up. Some players do not know how to shut their mouths, and it's the worst. Now, my fifth tip is going to, well, it's going to kind of contradict this tip, and that is speak up and contribute. This is sort of tied to the last tip, and it's don't be afraid to say something. Don't be afraid to act. Don't be afraid to have your character involved in a situation. So many people play the loner character, and they feel like they can't contribute to the party, like they have to stand out, you know, and be all aloof and somber, and they have to sit there and wait for someone to come up and talk to them and ask about the scar that they have on their right eye, and be like, it was a long time ago. I don't want to talk about it. You know, and it's like, oh, your character's so cool. I play loners almost exclusively, and I play them in a way that does not alienate them from the party, and in a way where they're still involved. There's no reason why a loner can't come up and talk to somebody. It doesn't make them any less lonerish. People tend to think that, like, if you're alone and you don't talk to people, then that makes you a cool character. That, you know, they're so deep, you know, why are they like that? They must have a mysterious past. First of all, get off your high horse. Second of all, that's no fun for anybody, and it's not fun for anybody at the table, and it's not going to be fun for you for very long because you're not going to be able to do anything. I play loners all the time, and I play them in a way where I can still go up and talk to people, I can still contribute to the party, I can still strategize, I can still plan, and people are still interested in my character. Interesting, well, you know, why is he such a loner? Why is he like that? And it's because I still talk, I still contribute, I am a presence at the table. So don't forget that. So many people, when they first start out, are just like, my character's going to be a ranger who lives on his own and lives off the land, and oh man, it's going to be so awesome. He's going to, like, not talk to anybody, and he's going to, like, every time the party's, like, going to be doing something, he's going to go off on his own and do things all alone, and it's just going to be so cool. It's like, yeah, it's not going to be cool at all. So, the final tip. I know I said 5, but I'm going to throw in a little bonus here. Have fun. Have fun and make sure other people are having fun. D&D and tabletop in general is one of the best hobbies in the world, and I say that completely 100% genuinely. It is so much fun. You can be so creative and hang out with your friends and just joke and laugh and have a great time. It's honestly one of the best hobbies there is. And if you don't try to have fun with it, if you don't come into it with the mindset that you're going to have a great time, then you're doing it wrong. Make sure you're having fun first and foremost, and if you're not, then something's up. So that is my tips for being a better player at the table. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and well, you might see a sequel to the 5 ways to run a better D&D Pathfinder game coming up here. Maybe 5 more tips. We'll see. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it from me. Hope everyone's having a great week. Take care, and happy gaming.